Hey YouTube, and welcome back to another tutorial. In this one I'm going to be teaching you all about routing. So in this tutorial we're going to start it off a little bit different. What I'm going to do is show you an easy way to include routing into your Angular application. And the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your terminal or PowerShell if you're on PC, and you're going to cd into the directory you want to create your app. In my case it's going to be the desktop. And then from here I'm going to type ng new routing example, and that's going to be the name of my application. And right here, when it asks would you like to add Angular routing, you're going to select yes. So you're going to type Y and press enter. Now if you've already created your Angular application and you press no when it came to routing, I'm going to show you how you can still use routing either way, but first I'm going to teach you this way. Okay, so I'm back in the application that I created, and I just created three components right here. One is called about, one is called contact, and one is home. And the purpose of these components is going to be to create a full website with routing. And I'll show you what these components look like. See right here in my app component.html, I'm displaying them all. And if you go to the website, you'll just see the home components right here, the about components right here, and the contact component is right here. So what I'm going to try and do is add some sort of nav bar so that we can navigate between these components. So to do that, I'm going to go into app component.html, and I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to create three anchor tags. So one's going to be for home, one's going to be for about, and one's going to be for contact. And you can see we have these right here. They don't do anything, but we have these three, but we have this mini nav bar right here. So what I'm going to do is navigate into this file called app-routing-module.ts. Now this file will only be available if you decided to use routing at the start when we were creating our application. And if you don't have this file in your application, it's okay. I'm going to show you a workaround. So we're going to go to app-routing.module.ts, and you're going to see that we have something right here that says const routes of type routes. These are going to be the routes that we're going to create in our Angular application. And to create routes, it's really simple. We're going to create them as an array of objects. So this is our array, and I'll create the first object. And inside the object, we're going to have a path, and we're going to have a component. And so for our first path, I want the blank empty path to go to our home component. So I'm going to type home component right here. And now I'm going to set one up for our about component. So I'm going to set the path equal to /about, and the component will be the about component. And then lastly, I'm going to create one for the contact component. So let me just explain what's going on here. These paths are where we're going to navigate to when we want to access the component. And the component, and this right here is telling Angular which component we want to access when we're in a certain route. Now what we need to do is we're going to delete this, and I'm going to add a router outlet. Now the router outlet is going to be where all our pages are going to be displayed. So now if I just save this router outlet. Alright guys, so I actually made a pretty detrimental error, and it took me about 10 minutes to figure out what was going on. And basically I thought I'd show you just in case you make the same error in the future. So I'm going to go back to the app routing module, and what I did wrong is I added forward slashes before each routing link. You actually don't include those, or you're going to get an error where you're just going to run into a blank screen, and there won't even be an error in the console. It'll just be in the browser. So make sure there's no slashes before each of your paths. So now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go back into my app component.html, and here we have our nav bar, and here we have the router outlet. So right here, if we look at it, it's working as it should. As we can see the home component right here. And if we navigate to about and contact, nothing's going to happen right now. But I'm going to show you what to do. So inside here, you might think, oh, well, we can just add about here. We can just add contact here and it'll work, right? Well, technically it will work, but as you can see, we're refreshing the page every single time. And the whole purpose of Angular applications is for it to be single page. So we don't want to refresh our application every time, because at that point we may as well not even use Angular. We should just use Vanilla.js. So instead of an href right here, we're going to use router link. And we're going to change each of these to router link. And this is the Angular way of navigating between pages. So now if I save and I go back to the application, you're going to see that we can navigate much faster between all of these pages. And that's basically how you do Angular routing. Now, I also promised you I would show you a way to do this without including routing when you create your application. So I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to delete this app routing module .ts file. Alright, so now that I've deleted that file, I'm going to go into the app.module.ts file. And this is where you can set up routing if you didn't include routing when you were creating your application. So once I'm in this file, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import routes, and I'm going to import the router module. And I'm going to import that from @angular/router. And the next thing I'm going to do is the exact same thing we did before. I'm going to define routes of type routes. And I'm going to create our paths. So once again, I'm going to create a home path for the home component. And I'm going to do the same for the contact component and the about component. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import our router module here. I'll type router module .for route, and I'm going to pass our routes. Now if I go back to our application, we'll see we got the exact same result without having to use the app routing module file. Alright, so that's going to wrap up our tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you have the time, although you don't have to, and I'll see you in the next one.